Hello, my name is Dean Contover, and this is the Current Buzz. Today we have Deputy Chief Colin Spence. He's going to talk about police work in Chelmsford, Massachusetts. And welcome to the show, Colin.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Deputy Chief now, only a month, is that correct?
Yes,
so the people will know. So that's why we have him on, because he's new. And what does the Deputy Chief do? I mean, what's their job?
Pretty much I supervise all operations of the police department.
Okay.
Pretty much from dispatch all the way to all the calls for service. And there's a bunch of other duties I do to make sure that the officers have what they need when they respond to calls and make sure the calls are being handled appropriately.
I see. So you basically are on duty 24/7, basically.
Yes, on call 24/7.
Yeah, okay. So anything happening in town these days that we should know about?
Knock on wood, we've been fairly quiet. One of our big issues that we have now, obviously, just hopefully coming out of COVID, the mental health issue is becoming a large part of what we do. We have clinicians on staff now that we share with other departments, most notably Dracut, Tingsboro, Tewksbury, and Billerica. We share clinicians, so we always have access to a clinician. A lot of times the clinicians will respond to the scene.
Wow, okay.
We're trying to avoid sending the person to the hospital if we can. A lot of times that's not exactly what they need. Years ago, what we would do is if we would go to one of those calls, we would have an ambulance come, send the person to the hospital. Well, that's not always the best response, but that's a large part of what we are dealing with now, especially coming out of COVID. Obviously, this has been a very trying time for the last 2+ years for everybody.
What would you say your percentage of calls are now in comparison when you were a rookie police officer versus today? Can you give me roughly a ballpark figure?
As far as the increase in calls for service?
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing over 35,000 calls a year now.
Wow.
Which
people
don't realize that.
That's population of Chelmsford.
Yes.
Give me an example. What are major calls? What's
a lot of one of our major calls now? Medicals, obviously. We go to a lot of medical calls. Mental health is part of medical calls. It depends on the situation. Obviously, we deal with shoplifting all the time. Unfortunately, domestics.
What happens with a shoplifter? What happens in that case? I mean, I don't want to.
It really depends on the amount, and it depends on the age of the person, it depends on their record. I mean, if they don't have a criminal record, we may treat that person differently than somebody that has been shoplifting that has a long record of shoplifting.
I see.
So it really depends, and depends on the amount, obviously, as far as how we treat that individual.
What do people shoplift? Anything or everything?
Pretty much everything, from electronics. Usually it's smaller items, obviously, because you can conceal those items a lot easier than a television set or something along those lines.
Right.
So
but I mean, there are people who do try to take television sets out.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But usually it's a smaller item.
Usually a smaller item, yeah. I mean, because I don't know, some people, I've never done it, so I can't say. I don't know what drives people to do that, but, it happens. The other thing I wanted to talk about is stickers on cars. And we're going to get to Route 3 and 495 also. But stickers. There was talk about stickers not being a surge charge. And please look at your sticker, please, on your car, because there's a lot of people that have expired stickers. And just look at your car because you forget it. And you drive that car every day and you don't look at the sticker. And look at the month, right, on the
yes, the inspection sticker.
Inspection sticker, yeah. So what happens if you stop somebody for some reason and they have a bad inspection sticker?
Well, currently it is surchargeable.
Surchargeable also. They were supposed to change that and make it non-surchargeable.
Yeah, for now it is surchargeable.
Right.
During COVID, there were certain periods where they extended the period because obviously people couldn't get their cars inspected.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Right.
So right now it's a $50 fine plus a $5 additional fee that goes to a different part. So it's $55 in the surcharge from your insurance company. So
Yeah,
that is-
and your good driving record also is eliminated. Also, there's a surcharge, and they take the good driving record off. By the way, we're into green now, so check your stickers, because I've seen some like blues and old,
exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's not get stopped. There was an incident. I was at this garage, and I was getting my inspector. It was the first of the month. First of the month or the second of the month, I don't remember, but this woman came up from Boston. She got charged right away because she was parked at a meter, and they saw that her inspection sticker expired, and they ticketed her.
Yes. Yep.
So, 495 Route 3, busy corridor. How do we cover that?
So normally the state police are the first responding units, usually. However, if it's a serious incident or they are tied up with major accidents, especially during a snowstorm or some major event, the police department will respond also.
Okay.
And a lot of that has to do if there's a major medical also. Most of our officers are EMT certified.
All your officers, right?
Majority.
Majority. Oh, okay.
We're still, more officers are going through now, but it's pretty significant to get that certification.
Right.
So when they respond, it's almost like an ambulance somewhat. And then we have our ambulance respond and fire department. So the officers respond. We can usually get a quicker response than the state will.
So if not to wish that anybody had an accident on 495 or Route 3, but if you do, the responding jurisdiction is state police on these highways.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So, but you respond because you're the first responders with other first responders, ambulance, tow trucks, etc.
Depending on how serious and if they're tied up. Sometimes the state is right there. If they're right there, that's a little bit different.
Okay.
But if a major incident, they'll call us and just tell us that their cruisers are not available, the troopers are not available to respond. Can we help them?
Okay.
And that's normal.
So after an accident, you have to fill out an accident report.
That's
so
correct.
if you're on 495 and Route 3, the accident report, you have to go to the state police to get the accident report.
Yes, that's correct. The state police will do their own accident report, and they will have that. We get calls all the time for people looking for the accident report.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So don't go to Chelmsford Police if you have an accident on Route 3 or 495. Andover Barracks, is that correct?
It's usually Andover, but it could be Concord. But if you call one, we're right on the line between the two barracks.
I see.
So it depends on where it is on the highway. We usually start at Andover. If they don't have it, they'll refer you to
Bump
Concord.
it to Concord. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's very important to get the accident report, and sometimes the state trooper will call you and try to get that squared away and what happened and who the people are involved, etc.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, just do those little things. Let's see. I want to talk about school zones. What's the speed limit in the school zone for people who are not from Massachusetts, who just moved here and they see those blinking yellow lights, which I think they should be digital, to be honest with you. I think we should have digital speedometer, like you had those trailers.
The trailers, yes.
Yeah. Do you still have the trailers?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
We actually just purchased another one that will be deployed this April.
Oh, I have a good place for you. So like at the Hamilton School or the South Row School, people fly by those schools because it's a main state highway, right? It's a state highway.
Main road.
Well,
yes.
Main Road, Richardson Road also.
Yes.
For, what's the school on Richardson Road?
Harrington
Jeez,
School.
I know. My daughter went there. It happens, So if you see blinking yellow lights, it's 20 miles an hour.
That's correct.
And you
20
guys
miles per
enforce it. I've known.
Yes.
Because you were the traffic officer at one time, right?
Yes,
And
I
you
was
would
in charge of the traffic.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you would have the police station under the bridge on Route 3 and
Yes.
waiting for people that fly over the hill because they didn't slow
Yes,
down.
a lot of people don't obey the signs, and that's why
Yeah.
we're there, unfortunately.
And do you give warnings or you give them tickets? It all depends.
It really depends on the circumstance.
Okay.
When we speak with the operator, it really depends on the circumstance.
Okay.
Some people don't realize it, unfortunately. It is pretty well marked,
Yeah.
obviously, especially with the blinking lights and everything
Right.
else. And that's why, I mean, those speed trailers that we deploy, they actually do a traffic survey automatically.
Oh.
So that's one of the new things that we have, that it will actually do a survey of the road and tell us how many people are in violation. So that's very helpful to us, because we can say, hey, you know what, we have a problem here, or we don't have a problem here.
So they could call up the traffic officer. I presume there's a new one, right?
Yes, Lieutenant Jason Poor just took over on Monday.
Okay, so the lieutenant, if anybody wants a trailer at their road or street, or they can call up the Lieutenant
Yes,
Poor?
Poor. Yes, that's correct.
And as for Lieutenant Poor, don't call the 991 number, call the business number, right?
Yes, that's the 978-256-2521 number.
Okay. Write this down and put it in your phone, right? 978-256 2521.
Yeah,
All right.
yes, that's correct.
Yeah, put that into your phone. So if there's a problem, don't call 911, right?
Exactly.
Just call the business line and they'll connect. They'll get it. They'll get it to the control, whatever it is.
Yes.
Yeah. So call that number. Write this down. Put it in your phone. 978-256-2521. Right. So we were talking about the Harrington School and the South Row. I think there also should be digital signs in the center of town, because if you come up Route 4, you don't realize it's the center of Chelmsford, and you fly up, and all of a sudden there's the mall, the little mall there, and the library, and people are coming and going, and there should be digital signs there. So I want to talk about this too. I see a lot of people using it. What's the latest on phones?
Okay, so Massachusetts is completely hands-free.
Hands-free.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be touching the phone, manipulating the phone. You are not supposed to, unless you're engaging the hands-free mode, which is basically hitting the button, you're not supposed to be texting, emailing, even holding the phone to your ear in Massachusetts. So it is a problem. It is a problem. We try to address it when we see it, but obviously the officers have to be there to see it.
Does it cause accidents?
Oh, absolutely. There's been various studies, federal government studies, that have shown how many accidents are caused by people not paying attention, being distracted by the phones.
Yeah,
especially the other thing is with juveniles. With somebody under 18, they're not supposed to have the phone whatsoever.
Oh,
Not
I
supposed to
didn't
be
know that.
used whatsoever.
Oh.
Even in hands-free mode. So that is one thing in the law, that is definitely something that they're taught in all the auto schools and everything else. They are not supposed to be utilizing that phone.
Oh, okay. Lately in the news, you've got these kids out late, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and they get into car accidents. Not in Chelmsford, because you guys do a good job at the high school and you explain, things. But, they just got their license and they're speeding and they get into these serious car accidents and injure people in their car.
Yeah.
Is there anything that they should do about that?
Well, I think the one thing, we really need to push the fact that the operators, especially juvenile operators, should not be utilizing that phone whatsoever. It really creates an issue. Passenger is a little bit different,
Right.
but the operator should not be utilizing that phone whatsoever.
Because, when you're 17, 18-year-old, you think you know how to drive, but really, you really don't.
Exactly, exactly.
So, put down your phone and, don't utilize it. I've seen people talking,
Yeah, you're not even supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And for GPS also, it's supposed to be fixed mounted in the car.
So fixed mounted means it's mounted, right?
Yes.
And it's there, and you can hit it once, and it's okay.
Yes, exactly.
But that's it. I see people on Drum Hill, going around Drum Hill
Exactly.
all the time. And I know that you have cruises there all the time, waiting for people to fly through those lights.
Yeah.
Which
And
is
it
good.
is a pretty significant fine also. It's $100 for the first, $250 for the second offense, and $500 for the third.
Wow.
So that is pretty significant.
Right.
And those are moving violations.
Oh, it's a moving
so
violation
chargeable,
also.
yes.
So if I pick up my phone and I'm at my car and I see, Siri, call my cousin, that's still
That's technically a violation.
a violation. Okay. I just, you
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
So I just want to,
It's, you can only touch it when you're enabling your hands-free.
when you enable hands-free. Okay.
Exactly.
That's a little too much for me. Yeah. So okay. So we got the phones. We got the stickers. What about town towing? What happens? Were you involved in that as the officer in regards to traffic?
Yes. Yes.
So tell me about town towing, snowstorms. What happens if?
So basically, during the snow ban, you're not supposed to park on the streets.
Okay.
And we have the person that currently has a contract is Christopher's Towing. So the call comes to the police department.
Right.
And then we dispatch usually an officer if we can, and then the tow truck. Normally, a lot of times when we get there, the person sees a police car and comes out and moves the vehicle right away. In most situations. Some situations they do not, and we have to have it towed.
You remember what the charge is? Because they have to pay the tow, right? To Christopher's and the storage?
It really depends on the tow.
Oh, okay.
It depends what is needed. If a flat, it really depends on the tow itself.
I see. But there's a standard with the town, right? I mean,
Yes.
there's a
Yes.
standard tow.
That's correct.
So, I mean, check with your town. In my neighborhood, it's a private entity, and I see people who come to the door and ask for things to, a good example is electricity or something like that. They're supposed to get a license from the town, right?
That's correct. Solicitor's permit.
So in other words, if they come, you have to ask them for their badge that you take a picture of them. Do you take fingerprints of them?
Normally they come in, we take pictures, photographs.
Okay.
And then we do we basically do a quick background on them, but they should have a badge displayed.
Okay. And that costs like $25, right? Or something
I
like
believe
that.
that that is a current fee. Yes.
Yeah. So if somebody comes to your door and doesn't have a badge from the police department, please, ask them for their badge from Chelmsford Police Department. If they don't, then call the police. Is that a suggestion? I mean, to
normally, a lot of times we do get a call and we'll go speak with the person. Sometimes they don't realize.
Okay.
Other people do realize, and that's more troubling for us. That if they know that they're violating the bylaw.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So if somebody comes to your home, ask them for the identification. Usually they'll wear it around they have a lanyard they put around their
Yes,
neck or
that's
something like
correct.
that, and they'll show it to you and so forth. Some complexes are private entities, so they can't go into those complexes. What about if somebody's running for office? Do they have to go through you? Or
No, that is a different.
I see.
That is totally different.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in other words, if some politician comes knocking on your door, or potential politician, that's okay.
That is different. Yes.
Okay, they don't have to do that. Okay. We don't have cannabis in Chelmsford growing or selling. What's the reason for that? I know what the reason is, but I want people to know that.
Yeah, it's more. It was decided by the town.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to be in Chelmsford as of yet. You are starting to see. I think the town made a wise decision to wait and see what happens with,
Yeah, I think
with
so
what is
too.
going on throughout the whole state. Obviously, this is a new, not idea, but a new thing.
Right.
And Chelmsford really, I think they took the wise choice by just waiting to see what happens.
Right. Is there anybody pushing in town to have just a store or something?
Not that recently.
Not recently.
Several months ago, there was a push, but actually it was probably almost a year ago now. But
Okay.
But as of now, I don't know of any current plans
I see.
to
I see.
open.
I see.
cannabis.
Drum Hill. Do you still have? I know that you guys stay up in Drum Hill. Remember those radar things that read the
Automatic license plate
all?
readers.
Yeah. Do you still have that? I don't see that around.
No, we do not utilize those.
Why is
currently.
that?
Well, there's a lot of expense to
Oh, no kidding.
to the units.
In what way?
As they get older, I mean, each unit was between 10 and 15,000.
You're kidding me.
And just with the nature of what's going on in the country, we didn't feel that we needed those as of right now. So we actually stopped utilizing
They would read the license plate, and if it was not registered, it'd ping, right?
Exactly. It would notify the officer. It wouldn't tell who was driving the car or anything like that. It was more if that plate, if there was an issue with the plate itself.
I see.
And it just randomly would just run plates. So
Right.
we just decided as a community, as a department, that we didn't really need that as of right now.
Okay. What is coming to the department? New police officers? Are they?
Currently, we are interviewing for 3 new candidates.
Okay.
But I just had 1 interview yesterday, and I have 1 today.
Okay.
So we'll see, and they're all town residents.
All right.
So hopefully.
What age group? In the 20s?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Normally newer, unless we take a transfer, normally newer officers are usually in their 20s.
Okay. Are they college educated, most of them, or these days?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, normally yes.
Criminal, the major was, what's that, criminal?
We do a full background check.
Okay.
Required to, and obviously we want to know
Yeah.
what the background.
Well,
so
of
we
course.
go through the full background on the individual.
Do you go to the FBI and check that too?
We check everything. Yes.
Military records?
We check military records, past employment. We go through how they did in school.
Right.
And I teach over at UMass Lowell, and one of the things I tell my students, that most of the students are trying to get into law enforcement, and I tell them you have to be very careful what you're doing in college, because that could change your whole direction as far as in this field. So we do a very thorough background, very thorough.
No kidding.
So.
Speaking of thorough backgrounds, I know Homeland Security has secret information. Do they tell the local police departments what's going on in the country, or do you get?
We will get bulletins if there's something major, like some safety concern that we have to be concerned with.
Yeah.
So we will get those. Normally they come through the State Police Fusion Center.
I see.
So Homeland Security notifies them, and then they'll notify us.
Oh, okay.
That's
and they'll
normally.
send out a bulletin for all the police departments.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
When are you guys going to get Teslas to drive, in town?
Well, currently we have gone over to the hybrid.
Yeah, I know that.
Police cars.
Right.
And which are very effective. I don't know as far as expense-wise also.
My cousin's a police chief in Eastern, I'm not going to tell you what town, in Eastern Massachusetts, and the town bought him a Tesla. And there was a printout he sent me that how they saved money in regards to gas, in regards to oil changes. And the only thing they had, and even brakes, they don't have to worry about new brake shoes or anything like that. All they have to worry about is they put heavy tires on and a better paint job.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And he said it goes like 0 to 4. 0 to 4 in 60 seconds or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, whatever the ratio.
Yeah,
is.
it'll be interesting
Yeah.
because we would have to install charging stations also.
Yeah.
So
Well-
I think down in the future, I think we will be looking at that. But as of right now, majority of our cars now, probably about at least 50%, are now hybrid.
Oh, are they?
At least, I think almost every one of our line cars, the cars you see every day,
The SUVs.
are hybrid. The SUVs.
Why are they darker? Why are some of the cars darker? I mean, they don't say police, or you could barely just see it.
Well,
that
was started several years ago,
Okay.
and a lot of that usually those are our traffic enforcement
I
units.
see.
Because they're less noticeable.
Yeah, I
As
know.
you know,
I know.
somebody sees a car there,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they notify people or do what they need to do to get everybody to slow down. So it kind of defeats the purpose of having somebody there running radar.
Right. Yeah, thanks for being on. It's over, man. I mean, I appreciate it very much. Yeah.
Very well.